All right, man. So with us both playing the Last of Us 2, got me thinking about what are the top five female protagonists in video games, right? Now there's a lot of female characters now to pick from.
Yeah,
Strong, charismatic,
independent,
womanly, independent. There you go. Strong, independent
independent.
women out there
Yeah.
leading video games, and doing a lot of other things that they do. They're not just like cooking or cleaning, and they're not knitting video games. They're doing great things, and that's what's important.
I mean, you do have Cooking Mama.
I mean,
Uh,
you can't win every battle. You can't win them all. So that being said, we're gonna kick it off with an honorable mention from each side. So start it off, Omar. What's your honorable mention?
so this was tough. I was kind of going back and forth between my number five and my honorable mention, but just because I haven't completed the entire series, Clementine from the Walking Dead Telltale series is my honorable mention. I haven't completed the entire what is it, like 4 or 5 games. I've only really
Or
played
seasons?
two
It's
of
like two
them.
games or three
No,
games.
there's at least four.
Well, there's seasons, but it's one, two, and then the last one, the New Frontier.
Really? I
Yeah,
could
I
have sworn it
believe
was
so. Yeah.
more. But I've only played through about one and a half of them. I started playing them not so long
Mm-hmm.
ago. Um, and yeah, I just fell in love with Clementine. It was just kind of like she needed to be protected. And when you finally got control of her, it was a powerful moment. Great, storytelling on behalf of Telltale, and I thought they did a fantastic job with her, with the
Gotcha.
game in general.
She almost made my list. Um, but I never really played the game. I watched them being played, and then like
It doesn't have the
part
same impact.
three, I
Yeah, I get
also
you.
fell asleep because it got a little boring. But for
It's
me,
Walking
just
Dead.
because I played the game and it was a lot of fun. And it was two players too, so you can kind of play with somebody else. Beyond Two Souls, Jody Holmes, if you ever played it. Uh,
I haven't. That's on my list
like
to
Telltale
play.
games, it's Quantic Dream, so it's decision based and all
Yeah,
that stuff
Quantic
too.
Dreams. Yeah.
But it was just really good, and she was very dynamic as a character. And just playing through that story, and then the kind of twist at the end, and a great cast too. You had the Green Goblin in that game too, the original Green Goblin, not
Oh, okay. Willem Dafoe.
yeah, Willem
Okay.
Dafoe.
I'm just like Green Goblin. What?
But yeah, like I said, a lot of it's just a great game, and brought out a lot of emotions in me, and yeah, that's my honorable mention.
That's your honorable mention. I just thought of another female protagonist that I would have put on the list.
Omar doesn't like women.
But for no, it's just she's mostly a secondary character, and for the most part, you almost never play her. She had one game that you could play her,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of like tie-in games, but she was never really like. I was talking about Peach.
Oh,
I
Peach.
would have put her on my list, but she only has the one game, Super Princess Peach. Um, and then obviously you can play her in the carts and the Super Smash Bros. But yeah, I only thought of her because number five on my list is in Super Smash Bros. But she does have her own series, Bayonetta. So she comes in a little lower on the list, which is surprising to me. I thought she would be higher up in the list, but I just there have been other female protagonists that I just kind of just loved more. So Bayonetta, obviously, she has the 2 games under her belt. Great games. Still waiting for that third one. It
Very
was
true.
teased one couple years ago now, and we still haven't gotten it. But nevertheless, Bayonetta is number five on my list. I don't know if you've ever
She's
played.
also number five on my list.
Really?
I
Okay.
played Bayonetta late in this lifetime. I played it on the Switch when they released the one and two thing.
The one and two.
Uh,
Okay.
and it was a lot of fun. It's
Still holds
very
up.
very sexual, very sexual.
Fair.
I wasn't ready for all that. Doing special moves and just seeing ass cheeks, I was like, whoa, that's weird. But
Amen.
the story, in terms of just like story, that game is all over the place. It is. It's crazy, but action, and that's why she fell so low on my list, just because story
When I first
is
played the game, I thought it was incredible. Obviously, I wasn't playing. I wasn't really paying attention to the story like that.
yeah,
Kind of when it was re-released on the Switch, I was like, oh, yeah. I kind of felt the same way you did, where how the story kind of went all over the place. So yeah, I didn't. That she just falls because kind of the other entries in this list have better, just overall games in my opinion.
definitely.
So if we go to number four, and by the way, we don't know each other's lists.
Yeah, this is all
This
surprises
is
to us.
first
So
time we're talking about this. So number four on my list is Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. Again, very surprised that she kind of fell a little lower on the list, being that she's kind of one of those big name female protagonists when it comes to the video game industries. Obviously, with her games on earlier systems like the PS1, kind of to her revival PS3 and onward. So I just always thought that, having, this action adventure game was. I always thought they were super fun. I did get very annoyed when I was younger and I would play these games because I just didn't have the, um,
the patience for it
I guess, the patience and the intelligence to play these games. I was just not very good at video
makes sense.
games, but
Uh,
hurtful.
my number four. You disrespectful what you did with Laura. Um, my number four is Ellie.
I knew you were gonna put a lower on the list.
Uh,
Yeah.
I couldn't put Bayonetta above her just because The Last of Us is just a great story, so I couldn't do that. Um, and just the other my top three are just my top three. So,
I feel you.
but like I loved her games. The Last of Us Two is an interesting one and a very dynamic journey it takes you on. If you want our thoughts
I
on it,
mean,
you
we
can
did.
watch the other video that we made.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, she's my number four. My number
Number four,
quattro.
Ellie from The Last of Us. Number three for me is Samus from the Metroid series. I most fondly remember her from the Metroid Prime series. That's what I played more. Obviously, I have played the 2D scroller Metroid games as well. And I just always thought that those games were super, super fun. They were super ahead of their time, too. And I always thought the stories were great. I obviously wasn't kind of into video games when they did the whole reveal. I believe it was in Metroid 2, showing that Samus was actually female. I know that pissed a lot of people off. I mean, I still think that it's really cool that Nintendo did that. And yeah, I mean, Metroid Prime still lives in the top echelon of like my favorite video games of all time. I I love Metroid Prime. I love Samus. I main her in Super Smash Bros. Zero Suit Samus, but regardless, regardless. Yeah, I just thought that I always
English be
thought that she
hard
was awesome.
sometimes. English be hard.
Yeah, words. What are they? All words are made up.
They are.
And yeah, Samus is my number three.
Number trace for me is also Samus. Um, I got it. I was young when the Metroid series came out. But my first introduction to her was Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy Advance.
Fusion,
Uh,
the
and it
Advance.
was
I actually have that game
yeah,
box and all.
I loved that game. I played it a billion times. And it was a little like once again a little kind of, but that's feel like that's a lot of early like female
Yeah,
characters. They're very
it's.
sexist with the better you do in the game, the fewer clothes she wears at the end. I was like, huh. But as a kid, I was like, now I need 100% this game because I want to see if maybe I'll get a nipple. But uh, like it was like a really fun game, and that's like one of my childhood games that I remember.
Yeah. I mean, the GameCube in general for me has been uh, kind of the system that I have the fondest memories of. So a lot of games for me, whether they're GameCube or Game Boy Advance, because I had that expansion. I forget what it's called on the bottom of the that you can play the Game Boy games on the GameCube. So a lot of those games kind of hold a special place in my heart. So we're up to number two.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So number two is Chell from the Portal series.
Ciao.
I absolutely love the Portal series. If you haven't heard me mention it already, the PC I'm building is Portal themed. Yeah, I believe this game. You don't hear much from Shell. You get a lot of her background just from, uh, the story that's told throughout the game. You don't hear from her. You kind of, you know, don't know much about her. You have to guess a lot when it comes to her origins and what's going on. If you read kind of like the tie-in series for Portal, you learn a little bit more about her. And I've always just, like I said, I love the writing of the Portal series. And yeah, Chell is just a badass, honestly. Because not many people can go up against GLaDOS like that. And she did it twice.
She did do it twice. I never played the games at all. My number two
That hurts.
is Senorita Laura Croft.
Lara Croft.
Just holds a very close place in my heart. From me and my sister playing it when we were younger. She would have to do a lot of the heavy lifting because I didn't understand it. Um,
What was that joke from? I think it was Patrick Cloud when he said he would be playing Legend of Zelda with his sister.
oh yeah, that's when they were making fun of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, my sister was like she really loved these games, and I would play with her, and we would try to figure out these puzzles together, and it would drive us both crazy. So yeah, it's like she's up there with me, and even the new games are amazing. Even though I haven't really got into them yet, but I
You
have to play
should.
through them all.
I could let you borrow them.
Uh,
Yeah. I mean, enough can't be said about Lara Croft. She also has her own movies. Yeah, not a lot of
Angelina
video
Jolie.
game characters have them. So, Angelina Jolie and the other one.
Isn't that the girl from Game of Thrones, right? Or am I wrong? Probably wrong.
I'm
She
pretty sure
looks
you're
like they
wrong.
look alike at some point. I don't know.
All right.
Who's your number uno?
Obviously, my number one is Ellie. Um,
Trash.
I gotta tell you, I played Last of Us Part One when it first came out on the PS3. I I remember I went day one to get it, and then immediately I had to go to school because they I was taking a specific class that I had to go to school during the summer for, and I remember as soon as I got home, I just delved into that game, and oh man, it was kind of like you built a relationship with her on Joe's behalf, and then I remember taking control of her for the first time, and I was just like, holy shit, this is awesome. And then obviously with The Last of Us Part 2, it gives us more into kind of her story. And Last of Us 2 for the most part is her story. And I think it's kind of just she's a tragic character. She's made decisions, bad decisions. A lot of us can relate, not to her extent, but a lot of us can relate to kind of making bad decisions
Never made a
in our
bad decision in
lives.
my life, so I wouldn't know
Never?
what that feels like.
Never? Oh, okay, cool. Um, I'm pretty sure you'd be in the minority there. So
I mean, a lot of us live
you're
clean
just
and have
special,
good
you know
living,
what I mean?
but people.
But yeah, Ellie for me is my number one female protagonist in video games.
Number one for me. Drum roll, please. Is Abby? No, I'm joking. Um,
You know how upset I would be if you.
is even though she only got one game under her belt, I love this game. It's right up there in terms of The Last of Us 2, just right up there in terms of just one of the most beautiful games you'll ever play on the PlayStation, and that is Aloy.
Okay, I thought you were making a joke.
No, it's a beautiful game.
Yeah, no.
Aloy is she's amazing. She's the best. She's the goat. And yeah, not much can be said.
Yeah, I
She's
haven't played
disrespectful.
Horizon Zero Dawn yet. Don't worry, it's on my list before
Yes,
PS5
Forbidden
comes
West is
out.
coming
So
out too. Woo.
Yeah.
But the story is it's so much fun. It's like and then just unraveling the whole mystery behind everything little by little. I don't want to give away too much because you haven't played it, but yeah,
Thank
the
you.
only thing for me is that they released the DLC too late, so it's like I didn't really feel like going back to play it.
But now you have
But
you do have an excuse to go back into playing
I
it. So
guess if it has anything to really do with this, we'll find out. But like I
there's
said,
only
a
one way
lot
to
of
find out.
yeah, it's a great game, and I really enjoy playing. And like I said, it's just so beautiful too. Like this is like the
Yeah.
first game on the Pro where you can like you really want to just stop and look at things and just see the
I
beauty.
ran into another game when that game came out. There were two games that kind of took my
That bum
attention,
ass
which is why I
Zelda game.
never played it. It won Game of the Year for a reason.
I mean, because nerds were they wanted it to.
It, it won Game of the Year for the
A lot of
reason. It's
games
an
have won Game of
incredible
the Year
game.
that shouldn't have won Game of the Year.
Like,
I mean, I don't have any off the top of my head, but awards don't mean anything. That's all just. Come on, do you really think Macklemore should have won Best Rap Album over Kendrick Lamar? No, you don't. Awards
I
mean
don't.
nothing. They mean nothing.
So God of War didn't deserve its Game of the Year
That it did. But I'm
win.
pretty sure there's, once again, people who complain, oh, but. That's just life. It's all opinion based.
Yeah.
But God of War is probably the greatest game of this generation. But that's a different list.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a different one.
Don't you dare say
But
Last of Us
yeah,
2 is better than God of War, because we will fight right now. There's no way in hell that game's better than God of War.
I'm gonna replay both games, and I'll give you a I'm gonna give you an unbiased opinion on
No,
it.
you're not. You're gonna be like, but
The Last of
Ellie
Us,
and Joel.
The Last of Us Part Two is so fresh on my mind right now, and I'll preface this by saying God of War is the first time I ever was like, you know what, I need to platinum a game. I have never platinum a game before. I never cared for for trophies or anything like that. God of War was the first time I was like, wow, I want to do everything in this game, and it's my first platinum. As of right now, my only platinum. So I'll preface it by saying that, and I've sang all the praises for God of War, so
Yeah.
you can't even say
I'm just
anything.
saying, it better
If I
be
say
over The Last of Us 2. No way in
I'm
hell.
gonna replay both, and I'll give you my honest opinion.
So you claim. We'll see about that. We'll see about that.
I mean, I think at this point you'd be biased, but whatever.
Who?
You.
How am I biased?
I just feel like you just
God of War,
have.
I haven't, during just first playthrough, God of War was way better to me than The Last of Us 2. In terms of just, like I said, and even the story was way better, everything was way better. Just even like, you have to replay God of War for so many reasons. Just because there's so many little nuggets that Barlog left in there for you. Just like, oh, it's.
Yeah,
Oh.
I've heard. That's why I want to
The
replay
game
it.
is so
That's why I
good. It's
bought it
just like
again.
I watched every video on it. That's how, and I wasn't even a fan of the God of War
You know,
series to begin with. God of War 1, 2, and 3 were cool, even the PSP ones, but I never really
this
was like,
is this
oh,
is
this is
something for
great.
another video. This is something
You're
for
right, it
another
is.
video. All right.
But yes,
I
greatest game of this
will.
generation.
That's gonna be a video that's upcoming. We'll discuss our favorite games in this generation since the generation is coming to a close.
Yes,
We have also discussed maybe doing a top 10 for the decade. We'll see which route we go with in terms of the lists. But yeah, that's our list. So just to recap for me, 5 Bayonetta, 4 Laura Croft, 3 Samus, 2 Chell, and number 1 was Ellie for me.
Bayonetta 5, Ellie 4, Samus 3, Laura 2, and the beautiful, the strong, the fierce Aloy.
Aloy. Our lists were very similar except for like placements. We only had one different name.
I mean, not a lot of real female characters to pick from, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Other than like, yeah.
Um,
And then it's hard to include fighting game characters because they're fighting game characters.
yeah. I was looking at Chun Li and I was just like I love her, but I
Yeah,
can't I don't play fighting games enough to put her on the list.
yeah. So
And
yeah,
horror games, I don't play horror games, so like I
yeah.
saw like Joe Valentine and I was like I know she's really cool, but like
Yeah,
I
I
hate.
never played any of the Resident Evils either, so I couldn't
Yeah,
put them
I've
on
only
the
played
list.
one, so But yeah, that's our list.
Yeah.
Top five female protagonists in video games.
Let us know what you think,
Uh,
and
yeah,
share, and subscribe, please. That helps us out.
yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, have a good one, guys.